Who's responsible for keeping memories? It's always the wife, except in my family, in which case it's me. Okay? How many of you have boxes of prints that you haven't done anything with? Yeah. How many of you have cell phones with images that aren't saved anywhere? How many of you have an unknown number of cell phone images stored in the cloud somewhere? Yeah. How many of you feel overwhelmed at the thought of organizing all those images? Sure. Okay. Well, fear not. I'm here to help you make a little bit of sense out of all of this. Okay, then and now. Back in the day, and the day for me was in the 60s and 70s, when you took an image with a camera, you still have an artifact. You have a physical, tangible artifact of that image. It's a negative, okay? So if you need to make prints, you can get it off of this negative. But the point is, you have a physical artifact of the image you took. Those days are gone. Because with the digital revolution, we have taken images and converted them into ones and zeros. It's an abstraction. It's not a physical thing. A computer file is a sort of an abstraction. Now, it can exist on a number of different formats. It can be on a DVD or a CD, it can be on a thumb drive, it can be in the cloud, it can be on a website somewhere, it can be on a hard disk, an SD card, it can be on something as small as this, it can be in my family CDs and DVDs from 2003 to the current day, a stack of whatever it is. I make copies of that and give it to the kids. These are VHS tapes. Recorded, each kid has this. This is all of the family videos. So that's the advantage of the digital revolution. Now, another consideration, electrons are a whole lot cheaper than film. So you could shoot a whole lot of pictures. You can overwhelm yourself really easily. I used to take photos of rugby matches when I played. I could take, in 2 matches, I'd end up with 600 images. 600 images on one weekend during a 10-weekend long rugby season. You do the math, that's a lot of images. Now, I'm going to put my bias right here on the table. I am a proponent of paper. Paper is good. I know you're all digital and everything, but paper is good, and here's why. Paper can last thousands of years. We have examples of paper that's lasted thousands of years. There's an Egyptian papyrus and the Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay? The beauty of paper. This is an 1888 photo of my grandfather Clark as a child. There he is with the ears and the hair part. This picture is therefore about 128 years old. Will JPEG still be around in 128 years?
Hope so.
Tips, hard disks,
It's not even
DVDs,
raw.
CDs.
By changing raw and everything.
Another advantage, will we be able to access all that digital data? It doesn't have to be plugged into the wall. It looks nice on your coffee table. Of course, none of us drink coffee, but whatever it is, got a posting table, you know. It's not expensive. You own the scrapbook. Google or Shutterfly or Pinterest or whomever, they don't own it. You own it. They can do anything they like. Your pictures are still intact. And with archival acid-free material, paper can last for lifetimes. Now, why aren't we keeping up with our scrapbooking? This picture shows it in just one image. This is scrapbooking then, around 1990s. Take a look. And by the way, Provo, Utah owned scrapbooking. During the 90s, you couldn't go to Provo and not run into a scrapbook store. They're all gone. Why is that? Well, here's a bunch of ladies, they got their table out, they've got rubber stamps, they've got all sorts of colors, I don't know what these are, poster paints, die cuts, all sorts of decorative things, glue, and there's a woman putting one picture on one page, and here's my favorite image, a cat. A picture of a cat on one page, okay? Now, if you like cats, that's fine. I see 4 ways of doing scrapbooking. Way number 1 is electronic scrapbooks. Costco, Photobucket, any one of these people will help you make paper out of your digital images, and you should do that. And it's nice because you can make more books and give them to kids, or loved ones, whomever, friends. Easy to do, not expensive. Do-it-yourself wedding photo books starting at 12 bucks. There's another way, and here's what I recommend if you are seriously overloaded with a backlog of images. Go to Costco or someplace like it. They have leather-bound, pre-formatted scrapbooks with 4x6 sleeves that you could simply put your prints in. They have little bits of paper here where you can write down what's on those pictures. Boom, you're done. Okay, now it may not be all frilly and pretty and everything, but you're done. Okay, and then there's the traditional frilly scrapbooking. There's our friend the cat. Look at Allie. Check out Allie. Could it be any more feminine? She looks like she has scrapbook supplies on her head, even, okay? Hearts and butterflies and everything like that, okay? But there's one picture on one scrapbook page that probably took at least an hour to do. You're never going to get done that way. Never ever. If you do a Google search of overdone scrapbook pages, this is what you get. You get one picture. I can't even tell what it is because it's overwhelmed by all the formatting. There's the same thing, unforgettable. Okay. Same thing, two little girls, a whole bunch of flowers. There's spring, there's a kid clutching onto a tree. You get the... If this is your thing, if you enjoy doing this, if you can keep up with your workload, wonderful. I'm not here to talk you out of it. Keep it up. How many of you are doing pages like this and keep it up? Can keep up with? Yeah, that's what I thought.
I did 3.
Yeah, well, this is why the scrapbook store is all closed in Provo. Women were getting really frustrated trying to keep up with this. Okay, now, the fourth option is what I call Brother Clark's modified layout, or the mail style. Okay, mail style scrapbooking. I'm a get it done kind of, get her done kind of guy. This is half of one of my scrapbook pages. It's been scanned. You will notice there are more photos per page. You will notice there are very few frills. I use stickers. Here's one that says happy home. Fine, now you know it's a happy home. You don't have to read that. You can see that from the pictures, right? Emphasize the image, not the format. The reason why I put this image, here I am at night in a mysterious parking lot. I had a flashlight and a long exposure. I wrote my name out of light. It's an interesting image. That's what you want to call attention to, not the flowers and the hearts and alleys and on your head and all that. Minimal journaling. Julie and Bertie with Grandpa. Plastic fez. That's one of those CD things that I put on my granddaughter, you know. You want to make the pictures interesting. These will get done a whole lot faster. Now, creative memories. They used to be dead, they're back. There was some really strange things that went on in corporate. For a while they became known as Annie and Allie or something like that. And then they were trying to push software and nobody wanted to buy their software. So they went back to what's called traditional scrapbooking. They are available for your use. Why am I pushing creative memories? Because I've had creative memories books for 30 years. They've been looked at a lot. They hold together. I've never had to replace a page. They are ironclad. They're bulletproof. They're really good. They're strong, high quality products. So I can recommend them. There's my creative memories consultant, Mary Bell. We're at a rock concert. Yeah, I go to rock concerts with my creative memories consultant. That's Mary Bell. She lives on the end of Carly Parkway. There's her phone number, and there's her address. I have business cards that you can take if you need it from me if you want to talk. But wonderful lady, she knows all about scrapbooking. She's here to help too. Now, you'll be tempted, or maybe you have been in the past, to use those magnetic albums. They have a page that pulls up and they have little sticky dots and you put paper on it. All right, this is a 1975 artifact from my first scrapbook when I was in the Marine Corps. It's a do not litter sign for Vietnamese refugees at Camp Pendleton. I got stationed there. I took this off a telephone pole and, well, this is as close as I'm going to get to Vietnam. So I put it in my scrapbook. Note the dots. Do you see the dots? You see the dots? That made, well, okay. There are dots. There are lines of dots in the back of this image. I tried to highlight them, but it doesn't. That's glue. It made its way all the way from the back of the image to the front of the image. That happens on photos too. So don't use magnetic pages with little glue dots. And the other thing is,
tear them up if you want to move them.
or they all fall out when they dry up, which happens to Carrie's magnetic. It's kind of a blessing in disguise because then I can reformat the book in an archival quality.
That was just my teenage one.
Okay, once you have paper, then do electronic. There's nothing wrong with this photograph. It's a young woman with a baby, and they're looking at family pictures on a tablet. Swipe, 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 swipe. All the pictures are in electronic format, the digital revolution, right? Look as many photos as you want. That's great, but get it on paper. You do want it on paper. You want it to last. Okay, I went to a Nikon school one time. I bought a lens or something and they gave me one day at a Nikon school. And the Nikon school was concerned with what they call workflow. In other words, you take your picture, you process your picture, you print your picture, you manage your picture, you do something with the picture. Turns out they're teaching exactly what I was doing already. Here's my tip, and this is what Nikon was teaching. Start your organization effort by year. If you're overwhelmed with digital images, the first thing you do is make directories based on year, 2005, 2006, 2007, and then start sorting them out by years. Then sort them by occasion. Now the process I used was 1_1_New Year's. So that's January 1st, the occasion is New Year's. And you know it's 2015 because it's in that subdirectory. You need to come up with a naming convention that makes sense. For instance, I can tell you that Sarah's birthday was on the 29th of January. There's her birthday pictures. Hudson's birthday, 3/7, Hudson's birthday cake. So not only do you have all of your pictures that make sense, you also have a journal of what you did during the month, the important occasions. Knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. I can literally put my fingers on any image in a matter of seconds, just by knowing what year it was or about what year it was, and then looking at something like this really quickly. So it's a good system. Then, once you go into 530 Ward Luau, remember the 530, the 30th of May Ward Luau we went to in 2015? Well, you remember, but you didn't remember what day it was, do you? Well, I know what day it was. And here's some of the images. This is Roger Goodman's images from it. Now, the other thing you want to do is when you give your files names, make the file name something that you'll remember later on, because Gibson, again, 5/3/30/15. Now, I know these are pictures of Gibson. I know there's a picture of Hudson. There's one of Sarah, my daughter-in-law. I can do a scan, I can do a search, pull up all pictures of Gibson, and it pulls them all up because I've named the files intelligently. So think in advance. You're going to want, years later, you're going to want to look at these pictures, give them a logical name that you'll remember. Okay, suggested workflow for buried alive women, also known as mothers. Sort your files by year, then month and occasion. Go through them, copy the best, and then, or most representative images, the ones you're really going to want, put them in a print directory. Photoshop or correct any images as needed. Print the images. Costco does it for 17 cents for a 4x6. You're not going to beat that. Load up the prints in a photo.
Walmart for 9 cents.
Walmart does them for 9? Walmart?
And some Shutterfly regularly sends out 100 free.
Yeah, Costco does that too.
Photo directory? What's a photo directory?
What's a
Print directory.
Computer folder,
Oh,
label.
print directory, sorry.
It's just a
It says
folder.
It's just a
Oh, to a
folder.
print directory. It's a subdirectory. It's a directory on your computer that says print.
Okay.
That's where all the photos are going that you're going to make paper copies of. Now, guess what? When you're done with that, you caption the prints, and then you reuse the images in that print folder. That's now your electronic file as well. So that's your photo album for that year, or whatever it is you're doing. You kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Here's a word of advice. I was at a scrapbooking lesson one time. A woman pulled up this adorable picture of a baby and said, "Beautiful baby, huh? Yeah. What's the name of this baby?" Nobody knew, because it wasn't captioned. Nobody bothered to write the name in the back. Well, that's my wife's cousin, Chucky Buffoni, I happen to know. That's my father when he was 12. That's my mother. And that's Carrie's grandma.
That's your mom. That's your mom. That's your mom.
That's my mother.
Hi, Mom. Okay.
Hi, Mom.
Right there.
So you want to caption your images. If you have paper and they're loose and they're not in a scrapbook, caption them, write on them, because 10 years, 20 years will go by quicker than you think. All right. Costco will also make scrapbook 12x12 pictures that will go into a standard scrapbook. If formatting electronically is your thing, if you want to sit at a computer and do scrapbooking, have at it. You could do it this way. I don't like software to do scrapbooking because I sit in front of a computer all day, and I told my creative memories consultant, she tried to sell me the software. No, I want to pretend I'm in kindergarten with a pair of scissors and glue and paste my pictures in my pages and have a paper scrapbook. Because it's not a computer, and I get tired of using computers. Archive your paper scrapbooks. Now, you get a flatbed scanner for next to nothing. They're like $70. Once you've made your scrapbook, lay it out on the flatbed scanner and scan it. Make yourself a digital copy of it for archive purposes. Here's pictures in years. Now, if you look at this, there's scrapbooks. These are all of my scrapbooks, and they're all scanned. So why would you want to do that? Because once you've done that, you could stick them on a DVD and give them to your kids. Now, it's like each one of your kids has a copy of every one of these that you own. That's an easy way of doing it. Easy way of preserving it. Also, if you have a fire or something, somebody else has the images. So you can always get to them. They'll always survive.
Just a plug for having a paper copy. We have about 15 years worth of digital pictures on a hard drive that crashed. We can't access anymore.
That's why you save your images on a hard drive, on optical media, on a computer at work, on a computer at home, on another hard drive. You need to back up your images. On the internet,
In the cloud.
in the cloud, whatever it takes. I use Picasso, which got bought by Google, now it's Google Photos. My images, my personal images, the ones I don't want you to see, they're in private space. You have to know the URL in order to see these. There's the URL of one of them. Good luck guessing that back. You're never gonna guess. So anyway, they're relatively secure. You're not gonna see them if I don't want you to. This is a screen capture of my Google Photos album page. As you can see, 2003, 2005, Clark Family Scrapbooks, all sorts of things. Wedding book number 2, wedding book number 1, there we were back in 1980. Instamatic prints from when I was a boy, all sorts of things. I'll back up. Here's a page from one of those. This is the beginning page of 2006. Obviously, it was all about my daughter Meredith from 2006. But anyway, that's a screen capture. When you load them on Google Photos, it automatically formats it and gives you something that looks like a scrapbook page. Okay, so what do you scan and archive? Paper scrapbooks, photos, documents, important papers, letters, videos, audio files, yearbook pages, baby books, wedding albums, church documents, genealogical interest items, anything you would reasonably want to share. In other words, everything. Once you've got that flatbed scanner, just go to work. Remember when you were in school, you were told if you misbehaved, it would go on your permanent record? Well, that's my permanent record right here. This is an interview with my half-brother I did back in 1997. It's audio only. It exists as a YouTube file that I can use. It also exists on Family Search because it's genealogical. This is a show that Carrie did, my wife did on NPR. It exists as a YouTube document. These are my school photos. Carrie did a recipe book one time, family recipes with pictures, you know, family eating food. I've got that documented too. I don't want to lose that kind of thing. What do I scan and archive? Here's my Polaroid album. These are all from the 1970s, so these are 40 plus years old. This is my baby book. It's 60 years old. There's a letter I wrote from home when I got into boot camp. I've got that archived. High school yearbooks? Yeah, why not? Anything. By the way, can you find me on that one right there? Okay, so, this is genealogical data. These are genealogical pictures. You want to save those too. It goes on to Family Search. That's your source for Family Search. Just put them on Family Search too. The church archives and backs up, you know, it's a good place to do it. If you're putting important documents on the web, redact them. That's my social security number. You can't read it from that. So block that off. Don't forget to do that. Okay, flatbed scanner logistics. You can scan, those are standard 12 by 12 pages. You can scan about half of them. You scan the top, scan the bottom, 2 passes. Do it at least 300 dots per inch. More is better. They'll go all the way up to 1200 dots. It will produce gigantic files. That's okay. If you're comfortable with dealing with gigantic files, do that because then you've got good images. What about videos? We take videos, right? Well, put them on YouTube. Select the unlisted space. guess what? There is no limit to the amount of video you can put on YouTube. It's unlimited. I have 22 VHS camcorder tapes, 2 hours each, and 20 2-hour high 8mm, that was the next format I went to. There's 84 hours of my family videos on YouTube. 84 hours, and I can look at them anywhere, pull them up on a smartphone or a tablet, whatever. Grand total, I have about 111 hours. Every minute of that is accessible by any internet connected device. Now, one thing I did for my kids recently, this is an excerpt from my online unlisted family video list. I sent it to my kids. They can pull up on the internet with their phones or tablets or PCs, whatever they're on, any video that I ever took of them growing up. 111 hours on YouTube. There is no limit. Now, for non-tape YouTube videos, I have 822 videos. Yeah, Jane and I doing yard sales on Saturday mornings. I take videos, and Jane and I are the big stars there. On YouTube, here's my, this is my YouTube playlist. As you can see, it's broken out, family videos, grandkids, yard sales with Jane, Civil War videos, all sorts of stuff. And here's a fun little thing. If you go to wesclark.com, select videos, you'll see it on the top, and then you'll see a playlist. Go to Springfield, Virginia Award videos. I have videos from 1987 all the way to last year.
Wow.
So if you want to see what Jane and I looked like 25 years ago or whatever, or Kathy Ergel, and they're there. Okay, why did I put Tron? Do you remember Tron? They had these identity discs.
Which one, the first one?
The first one,
Yeah.
the 1982. At the time, it seemed really, really futuristic. These people had these identity discs, and it had everything about them, and if you break the disc, then the computer goes up. We're almost at that point now, where you can put all of your life on one disc of some kind. Every video that you've ever appeared in, every photograph you've ever taken, all of your genealogical data, all of your important documents, it can fit on one little Tron disc. We're almost there. Now, questions. I hope you're going from this to this. I will be happy to entertain any questions you have.
Can I get a copy of your slideshow?
Yes.
YouTube later.
Well, actually, I was planning on narrating it, putting it on YouTube, and then sticking on the Springfield, Virginia. So it will eventually be, I just need to plug in a microphone to YouTube, make a video with this. But the answer is yes. And once again, I'll tell you where to look. wesclark.com, videos, YouTube playlist, Springfield, Virginia. That's where I'll do it when I'm done. It'll take me a day or two.
This might be really dumb, but how do you put videos on YouTube?
Well,
Is it
it's
hard?
easier than you
I
think.
just Google it and then it will tell me.
It's easier than you think. First of all, any questions you have about YouTube or Google or anything, you can Google.
Yeah.
If you have questions about Google, you Google the questions and it generally tells you. It's not hard to upload YouTube videos. They just have to be in a certain format, certain formats. They can be in MPV, MP4s. I think they'll take .movs. There's a number of formats that they'll accept. The chances are good. Is everybody here taking videos with your cell phone? Yeah, you're going to be able to get that to YouTube without a problem. We're done? Okay.
All right.
Sorry, I've got one more question.
Sure.
So you print out your digital file, your digital pictures.
I do.
And then you put them in a scrapbook.
I put them in a scrapbook.
Okay.
Very few frills. And if you look at my very latest scrapbook, 2016, you will see. If you do it this way, it's easy to keep up. The last photograph was taken, that was 3 weeks ago.
And then you scan those pictures
Mhm.
individually,
Mhm.
and then make a CD of that.
Mhm.
book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I upload it to Google Photos.
And you make that.
So I have a copy of that here on a 1.5 terabyte drive. I have copies of every digital photograph I've taken here. And then the kids, I make the kids a DVD every year with the photographs on it. It's all over the place. So if we have a fire or something, we still don't lose the image. I have business cards on the table. If you're doing a project and you need help and you're just so terribly overwhelmed that you need some advice, give me a call. Or email me.
Good job.